Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another news update video today. Seems like we're getting a lot of these, so we're just going to keep rolling with them because some of them are pretty interesting. So Star Wars, John Boyega criticizes J.J. Abrams for forcing Finn into being a Jedi in the Rise of Skywalker. And what he has to say is actually pretty noteworthy because it sort of emphasizes the issue with the sequels as a whole and the fact that even the actors themselves, they must have had a very hard time going through all of this with the constant back and forth and the creative differences, I guess we could say. So he says, it was a discussion from 7 that was kind of brewing because you didn't know which way it was going to go, right? The actor tells Happy Sad Confused about plans for Finn to be a Jedi. And then 8 went in another direction. So I think with 8 going in another direction, when you're bringing someone to the 3rd, they have to kind of like appreciate what's happened in 8 and then still try and make a narrative of it. So right, in 7, there was this part in the very beginning when Finn sort of almost like breaks free of this mind control. Remember when he was in the village and Kylo Ren was ordering the stormtroopers to just terminate all of the villagers? He had this like moment where he just kind of snaps out of it. And that moment for me didn't seem like a regular moment for every other stormtrooper. It seemed very unique to Finn's character. And I think this was him either breaking free of his mind control. Perhaps he was a Force user and the First Order found him when he was young, or maybe even he was a student of Luke's, and Kylo mind-wiped him. And this was his moment where he snapped out of it, and he was like, wait, this is wrong. This is not where I'm supposed to be. And I think that storyline would have been really interesting to dive into. Imagine having, this lost Force user, perhaps of Luke's, perhaps of, another Jedi temple somewhere else in the galaxy, not Coruscant, and he was brought towards the Empire, well, the First Order, and now controlled. And he breaks free of that control. What is his journey? What is his path going to be now? That would have been really cool. So that was really the only inclination I saw in The Force Awakens. But then, of course, we got 8. And he says, and J.J. Abrams, J.J. really wanted Force Awakens is the movie that J.J. directed. He was kind of pinpoint plotting a trajectory. So I could see what J.J. was doing by having that scene in there, if that's the scene really that J.J. intended to portray the Force within Finn. But obviously with the different creative differences in the middle and then getting to the 3rd, it's kind of like to, just force it in there, just squeeze it in there, no pun intended. And so this is obviously cool. It's a very cool story. It could have happened, but what really angers me is the different creative differences in the middle and then getting to it's like, well, Star Wars is the biggest IP on the planet, I think. And you can argue that it's not, but with the sequel trilogy, which is like the most important, right? Look, all these shows, Mandalorian, all that, they're fun, they're cool. They build upon the world that George Lucas created, but the sequel trilogy was really the most important. And the fact that they were handled with this kind of creative difference in the middle, I think it should have been just JJ all the way through, or it should have been Rian Johnson all the way through, or just one director and one writer all the way through, and the fact that they didn't even like correspond with one another, I'm still, so many years later, I'm still having a hard time understanding how this could have even happened. It just doesn't make sense to me. You buy a company for... Anyways, I've beaten this dead horse. So with Finn having possibly been able to use the Force, and now JJ pushing it in there in the 9th film, even when it doesn't really make sense anymore because of what happened in 8, where he didn't show any sort of Force abilities. I would like to see going forwards, if they make a Finn project, which is really the only character besides Kylo Ren that I would care about, or actually watch. If he were to use the Force, I think that would be pretty dope. I think that would be pretty cool. And they could build upon the story that JJ or whoever wrote in the beginning, where I think would be really interesting if he was maybe a youngling from a different temple in the galaxy, not so much Coruscant, because that just makes the world too small. There were other Jedi temples, and they mind controlled him. For what reason? I don't know. I guess we could find out. Maybe he held some special power that if he trained, he would have overtaken everybody. Maybe his potential was extremely significant. Maybe he's the chosen one of that time. Maybe he is the son of some important leader, or who knows what. But they could really make an interesting story with Finn being Force sensitive. And I'm kind of glad that JJ added it in there in the end, even though like there was that creative difference with the films in the middle. Because now in the end, we could get something if they ever come back or ever build upon these characters and evolve them. We could get some more stories with Finn, kind of showing his true abilities and his true powers, which I think would be pretty cool. Boyega would later say he'd like to see what became of Finn and his possible Jedi training, though suggested he'd like to see another actor in the role. Oh, dude, it just, honestly, bro, it just seems like John's done. Like, he's just like, I don't need this anymore. I'm done with Star Wars. Is that really the case? If so, I understand, but it's unfortunate that that's how their actors feel. It's clear he has zero interest in returning to the Star Wars franchise and is now looking to move on from an experience he appears to have walked away from, feeling the same level of disappointment as fans. The lack of planning really hurt these final chapters in the Skywalker saga, and the decision to allow filmmakers to do whatever they wanted backfired in a major way, particularly in the case of Finn. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you so much for handling that so well. Yeah, let's take George's story and just throw it out there, and let's give some random dude full reign, full power, unlimited power to continue the story that George created. Oh god, do you think Lucasfilm dropped the ball with Finn's story arc? Yeah, I think Lucasfilm dropped the ball with a lot of things. I think, you know what? I think it's Disney. I really think it's Disney that came in there and scrambled everything around with Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm was Lucasfilm when George sold it. It's all the original guys. Disney came in there and started firing everyone and interjecting their own people from Disney into Lucasfilm. And that's why there's a problem. It's not Lucasfilm that made these decisions. It's Kathy and Disney. They changed everything. So now, yeah, Lucasfilm is different. But what it used to be was the real deal, you know? It was the most amazing company, in my opinion, back in the 90s, early 2000s. And the only thing we have left is Dave Filoni. And, you know, a few of the OGs, the talented guys that are there. It just ain't the same. And we need new leadership. We need proper leadership. We need someone who actually cares about the franchise and isn't listening to board members and the suits, as I call them, who are soulless leeches, vampires, who will suck this IP dry in the direction that they think is best, which is all about money, and it's all about politics, and it's all about bullshit, instead of getting to the heart of the matter, which is what made Star Wars so successful in the first place, which was just telling the story. Telling a story of hope, of leadership, showing people that it's never too late to change and to follow your heart. I think that is really the true essence of Star Wars and family, you know? I really trust in the fans. I think the fans have more power than they're led to believe. And I think with John and Dave, at least a part of Lucasfilm, if not running it, we're not totally lost in the dark. So it's unfortunate that all this stuff happens, you know, and I never would have thought. You know, I remember when I was younger and I found out that Disney was buying Lucasfilm. I remember I went to my parents and I was like, guess who's buying Lucasfilm? Disney. And I was like so excited. And I was so happy. I'm like, they're going to treat it so good. Boy, was little Nia wrong. Wow. But hey, just as George showed, it's never too late to change. So it's never too late to change. They can always make things right. You know, they can't fix the past, but you can always change the future today by making the right steps, changing direction, course correcting. So thank you for listening to what I had to say today. Let me know what you think about this. It's quite unfortunate, as always, you know, whenever I read that the actors themselves are sad and they don't want to be returning for the roles. I wish John Boyega the best. He's a very talented actor, and yeah, I'll be supporting his roles going forwards, but I don't know if he'll ever return to Star Wars. Don't blame him. Have a great day. May the Force be with you. All the best.